Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. This Circuit Court of the 11th Judicial Circuit in and for Miami-Dade County is now in session. The Honorable Bertila Soto presiding. All persons having business before this court, draw nigh and you shall be heard. May God save the United States of America and this honorable court.
Thank you, Robert. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this very special ceremony commemorating the passing of the gavel to my successor and friend, Chief Judge Nushin Safi. I also want to send a very special welcome to all of our guests joining us on Zoom and watching the live stream. We know that you are with us, even if we can't see you. And we thank you for doing your part to help keep everyone safe as we continue to deal with this pandemic. As we remain standing, please, Larry Chester, our bailiff, our chief bailiff now, is here to give the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Larry. Our Marine veteran and Purple Heart recipient. Now, as we remain standing, we will have the invocation. Judge Andrea Lawson, Administrative Judge of our Circuit Criminal Division.
Chief Judge Soto, our new Chief Judge Safi, my dear colleagues, honored guests, family, and friends, may it please the court. And I may ask that you be seated because it is a profound honor to deliver the invocation for this momentous occasion. But before we say a prayer together for our new chief, and this is with the express permission of our new chief, I'm going to take a few moments of personal privilege to say a few words about my dear friend Nushin and why I'm absolutely over the moon about this incredible ascension to the office of the Chief Judge of the 11th Judicial Circuit of Florida. As I begin to prepare these remarks today, I stumbled upon a quote from the late, great Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Fight for the things that you care about, but do it in a way that will lead others to join you. This so very beautifully sums up our new Chief Judge, Shiva Gofrani Safi. Now, I've known Nushin for about 20 years, but we've really been close for only about 10 of them. But from the stories I've heard, she's been a fighter and a leader from the time that she was a little girl, all the way through her years at the Public Defender's Office, and certainly during her time as a circuit judge and administrative judge in the criminal division. But ladies and gentlemen, and you all know it, there's so much more to the story. Nushin is a true friend, fierce and loyal and genuine to her core. She will be there for you and have your back in all the twists and turns of life, all of it, the good, the bad, and the ugly. She's also strong, one of the strongest women I know. Nushin is also whip smart. Along with that comes funny. I think a good sense of humor is a necessity when you're the type of person who decides to take on a responsibility like Chief Judge of one of the largest judicial circuits in the country. And she's got common sense out the wazoo. She's a troubleshooter, and my goodness, has she had to prove that. During her short time in leadership, she's had to navigate a relentless global pandemic and a structurally compromised building housing hundreds of circuit employees. And what does she do every time? The exact right thing. First, she protects people. Then she makes sure the job can be done, that justice can be done, that people can be served, that this community can have access to its courts. And this is just the beginning. These are just a few examples of why Nushin is such an amazing friend and leader. She's also a mentor to me and so many people in this room and, quite frankly, around the world. Nushin is a faithful follower of The Secret, She's taught me that you must know that what you want is yours the moment you ask. So the very moment she started talking to us about running for chief judge, we knew it was hers already. It was a done deal. And the last personal remark that I'd like to share with you today, and get ready for this. I'm going to really drop a bombshell here. She's the best karaoke partner you could ask for. But don't ask, she's mine. But in all seriousness, aside from karaoke, she's all of ours. And we're so very lucky to have her. So at this time, I invite you all to bow your heads and pray with me a prayer of thanksgiving and gratitude. A prayer to ask for God's strength and courage in this endeavor of service. Thank you, Lord, for the gift of this amazing woman and the gift of her predecessor, Chief Judge Bertila Soto. Thank you for giving the judges of the 11th Judicial Circuit the wisdom to select this dynamic person to lead us during these challenging times. Thank you for the blessing of Chief Judge Safey's family, who molded and shaped her into the person she is today and the leader she will continue to be for our community. Please help Chief Judge Safey to feel your loving presence in this and every day. Fine-tune her mind and heart to pick up the subtle signals of your guidance and bestow your blessings upon your humble servant. Let us all pray that Chief Judge Safey continues to have the strength, courage, and grace to carry on the duties of her role as our Chief Judge. As we sit here today in this sacred palace of justice, this place where men and women fought for our freedom to embrace you or reject you, dear Lord, let us remember too the bravery and sacrifice of the men and women who lost their lives 20 years ago tomorrow in the attacks of September 11th, 2001. Lastly, dear Lord, may we continue to enjoy good health and protection. In your blessed name we pray, amen. So in closing, let me once again remind us all of that RBG quote. Fight for the things you care about, but do it in a way that will lead others to join you. Look around, my dear friend. We are all here for you, today and always. I think you're off to a pretty darn good start. Good luck.
And of course, on this very special day, we have special guests who have joined us here. I'm going to ask that they please stand when I call their names. We will recognize them at the end. Clap when I tell you. There's a lot of people that are on Zoom, streaming, and also present. And of course, first, our mayor, Daniela Levine Cava. All right, I'm gonna have to get my bailiff to hold you all in contempt. Nobody listened, but Daniela, you would deserve that, so. And now, of course, our very own champion, Commissioner Sally Heyman. I have Miami-Dade County Attorney Jerry Bonzon Keenan, Miami-Dade County Daniel Jr., Director of Miami-Dade Corrections and Rehabilitation. Mary Del Guevara, Assistant Director, Miami-Dade Corrections and Rehabilitation. Alex Munoz, Director of Internal Services Department. He may be on Zoom. Hello. Margaret Brisbane, Chief Information Officer for ITD. Jose Arrojo, Executive Director of, they don't have it here, but it's of Ethics Commission. I should know that. City Attorney Miriam Ramos for the City of Coral Gables. City of Miami Attorney Victoria Mendez. Look at this list, guys. It'll be a while. U.S. Court of Appeals 11th Circuit Judge Barbara Lagoa, over here. U.S. Court of Appeals 11th Circuit Judge Bobby Luck. U.S. District Court Southern District Judge Beth Bloom. I haven't seen Beth. She's on Zoom. U.S. District Court, Southern District, Judge Rudy Ruiz. And I believe that Chief Justice Charles Kennedy is watching us on Zoom. We're behaving. Hello. And I know that Justice Alan Lawson is here with us today from the Supreme Court. I don't see Justice John Coriel, but he's probably on Zoom. We have Chief Judge Ivan Fernandez of the 3rd DCA on Zoom. Judge Alex Bocor, Judge Bronwyn Miller from the 3rd DCA as well, Judge Flora Labrie from the 3rd District Court of Appeals, Judge Kevin Emis from the 3rd District Court of Appeals, Judge Monica Gordo from the 3rd District Court of Appeals. By the way, all of you are losers. You left us, but we love you anyway. We have former Chief Judge Joseph Farina. I believe he's watching on Zoom. Former Chief Judge Joel Brown. We have retired Judge Karen Schwartz on Zoom. And I believe we have Judge Jerry Beth Cohen here. I saw her this morning. On Zoom, retired Judge Dava Tunis. On Zoom, retired Judge Martin Zilber. I'm surprised he's not here taking photos. Retired Judge Jeffrey Rosnick. Deborah Gander, president of ABOTA for the American Board of Trial Advocates. I believe she's on Zoom. Charisse Morgan Joseph, Caribbean Bar Association. Judge Scott Bernstein, past chair of Conference of Circuit Court Judges. We have the president of the Circuit Court of Judges, Betty Butchko. Francis de la Guardia, former president of the Cuban American Bar, and Dax Bello, former president of the Cuban American Bar. Sabrina Puglisi, president of the Dade County Bar, and Jane Muir, past president of the Dade County Bar. Kristen Directra Paz, president, and Elisa D'Amico, past president of FAL, Florida Association of Women Lawyers. Kevin Hellman, president, and Jude Facidomo, past president, and I saw Jude, I know, the Florida Association of Defense Lawyers. From the Florida Bar, President Dory Foster Morales, who's here. And I believe Michelle Suskauer said she might be able to come in, past president. And we have Augusto Pereira, who's on, I believe, on Zoom from the South Miami Kendall Bar Association. Travis Randolph from the Wilkie D. Ferguson Jr. Bar. Joy Clayton, CLS Southern Regional Director for DCF. Executive Director for the Miami-Dade League of Cities, Richard Cooper. Executive Director Esther Gabo of Citrus Family Care. And I believe that's it, but not yet. Don't clap. Because there's our family that's always here. Exactly. She gets special. Don't worry. Don't worry, Mayor, but I got her. I believe Carlos Martinez is appearing on Zoom, right? And also Jean Zanobi. But Kathy Fernandez Rundle, our state attorney, is here. Our clerk is also appearing on Zoom, Harvey. I wanted to say that usually I introduce them in the whatever, it feels like 90, 100 investitures I did in 8.5 years. And I wanted you to know that our stakeholders, including Junior, have been amazing. They never, ever let me go to anything alone. They always had my back. We are a team. I think we're the envy of the state. No offense, Justice Lawson, but because we all get along and we all work together. And you have a partner in Nushin because she knows you well from working in this courthouse. But I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for always being there for me. I also have Patricia Gladson, who's my general counsel, who's on Zoom. Hi, Pat. And finally, the person who makes me look good every day, who has been my gallito de pelea, which means my little fighting rooster, Miss Sandy Lonergan, my trial court administrator. Sandy, I get to give a chief award if I want every year, and I don't give it every year. But this year it went to Sandy, but it was COVID, so she didn't get it in person. So I wanted to make sure she knew how special she was to me and how special you are to everyone. And when I give this to Sandy, I give it to the entire staff at the AOC and all the directors and all the secretaries and all the assistants and everybody. You are amazing. But Sandy, we love you. Okay. So now, for remarks on behalf of the Florida Bar, we are pleased and privileged to have a past president of this organization, a distinguished member of our legal family, also a very good friend, Miss Dory Foster Morales.
May it please the court, Chief Judge Safey, nice ring to it. Chief Judge Soto, you'll always be my chief. And all the other judges and justices here, too numerous to mention, but you can see how important this is by the number of federal court judges and Supreme Court justices. And I know watching both through Zoom and in person really makes today very special. Welcome to all who have come today, both in person and virtually, to celebrate the passing of the 11th Circuit's Chief Judge's gavel from Judge Soto to Judge Safey. It is my honor and pleasure as the immediate past president of the Florida Bar to be here in person at the Richard E. Gersten Justice Building on behalf of the current president, Michael Tanner, who allowed me to do this, the current president-elect of the bar, Gary Lesser, our 52 members of the Board of Governors, and our over 109,000 lawyers in the state of Florida, members of the Florida Bar. It's just such an honor to be here on behalf of these two incredible leaders. This is truly a historic event. This is the very first time the Chief Judge's gavel is being passed from one strong, intelligent, female leader and jurist to another strong, intelligent, female leader and jurist. I can't help but ad-lib a little. I have to comment, and we have a female mayor and a female state attorney and a female leader of the court system on the county commission, a female who is running our courts. I mean, this is incredible. And while Judge Safey is not the first female chief judge, we know who that is. That honor goes to Judge Soto. The fact that the gavel is being passed from woman to woman is truly historic. Back-to-back female chief justices has never previously occurred in any circuit in the state of Florida. And Justice Kennedy, I'm relying on you. You confirm this, sort of. When Judge Safey asked me to participate in this ceremony, I was thrilled. Like many of you, and like Judge Soto and Judge Safey, I got my start, my legal career, right here in Miami in this courthouse. Like Judge Soto, I was an assistant state attorney, and Judge Safey was an assistant public defender with whom I overlapped in my work in this building during our time here. Those of you who have worked here, and I look around here, there are so many of you, you know that the assistant state attorney and the assistant public defender are flip sides of the same coin. And we all are part of this incredible criminal courthouse family. We are a happy family today. The passing of the gavel from former ASA to former APD demonstrates the relationship of these two offices and the integral part they play in our judicial system. It is great to see our state attorney, Kathy Fernandez-Rendell, my former boss, and Carlos Martinez somewhere in Zoom world here to celebrate. I know that they are both very proud. As I look at the sea of judges, and there is a sea of judges here today, I see so many of you who've come from that same background with their legal careers beginning at the Richard E. Gersten Building, with our shared history and shared pride in these two incredible judges, again, making this ceremony that much more special. On behalf of the Florida Bar, my personal thanks for the hard work done already performed by Judge Soto and Judge Safey. It is truly personal. As many of you know, the Florida Bar is an arm of the Florida Supreme Court, and we work closely with the court system. And during my tenure as bar president, and also during my time on the Board of Governors, I personally got to see Chief Judge Soto and Chief Judge Safey's leadership in action. They were both very involved. Judge Soto was an incredible asset to our circuit during the budgetary process at the state legislature and at the local government level. And I know a few people in local government these days. I'm sure they'll be seeing a lot of Judge Safey. I know that Judge Safey will be equally capable in addressing the needs of our circuit. Judge Safey and I work personally and very closely together on the Florida Bar's Special Committee on Mental Health and Wellness. And I know that she personally believes in the importance of lawyer wellness. And I know she will continue to carry this message during her term as chief, which I believe is particularly important at this inflection time in our society in the midst of the pandemic. Having just completed my tenure as bar president, I personally understand the difficulties that both these judges have and will continue to have in leading during a pandemic. The pandemic has not been easy. There is simply no rule book, no prior game plan, no expert upon who you can solely rely to make decisions. That makes leading a little messy, as there have been so much unpredictability since it began over 18 months ago. 18 months. I have to say that despite the messiness of it all, I see that our courts, especially our 11th Judicial Circuit, has stood strong, has carried on, has pivoted, and continues to pivot as necessary to allow the judicial system to soldier on, allow the litigants of Miami-Dade County to have their day in court efficiently and safely in ways none of us could have ever believed possible 3 years ago. And for that, I have to thank really everyone in this courtroom. So thank you. And we do have both Chief Judge Soto and Chief Judge Safey to thank for their work in maintaining the strength and continuity of the 11th Circuit during the pandemic. And in doing so, I personally thank you both for your commitment to justice in our 11th Circuit. I, of course, wish Judge Safey incredible good luck as you take the helm of this incredibly complex court system. We at the Florida Bar are committed to helping you in your journey and this circuit however possible. I am personally here to provide you with whatever assistance necessary. And thank you so much for allowing me just a few moments to speak at this historic event today.
Thank you, Dory. Now for remarks on behalf of the Dade County Bar Association, we have the president of this organization, an accomplished attorney and great friend. Welcome, Ms. Sabrina Vora-Puglisi.
Chiefs, judges, family, and friends, and everybody out there watching. I still remember the day that I first saw Assistant Public Defender Nushin Safey. I had just moved up to the felony division as an Assistant Public Defender, and I thought to myself, I have no idea what I am doing. And I walked into a felony courtroom to watch a trial, and there she was. And I have to say, she was kicking ass. She was confident, convincing, captivating. Every single person in that courtroom was listening to her. She had full command, including the judge. And I thought to myself, wow, now that's the kind of lawyer that I want to be. And throughout her career, she has continued to mentor not only lawyers, but many judges as well. I asked former Assistant Public Defender and now Judge Ayanna Harris what her thoughts were of Chief Judge Safey, and she said, Nushin was the type of PD that you could come to about anything. She's always been a fantastic problem solver, and she also has a great sense of humor. So she would come up with a solution and make you feel better no matter what the situation. And she carried those same beliefs when she became a judge. That fairness and justice. Every single person who ever entered her courtroom always was treated with respect, whether it was defendants, victims, prosecutors, defense attorneys, clerks, interpreters, court reporters. She treated everyone with respect. Public Defender Carlos Martinez says, Nushin excelled in every position she had in the PD's office. As a trial lawyer, trainer, senior supervising attorney, she mentored dozens of attorneys. Young APDs, including her peers with the same level of experience, would often seek her out for advice. She was fearless, and that fighting spirit was contagious. As administrative judge, she was unafraid to challenge all of us, the public defender, the state attorney, other judges, corrections. She cuts through the nonsense like a hot knife cuts through butter. And that is what made her an excellent administrative judge, because she was able to get things done. And her colleagues, she had the respect of all of her colleagues. Former colleague and now District Judge Rudy Ruiz says, Chief Judge Safey is a judge's judge, one who is selflessly dedicated to the betterment of the judicial system as a whole and constantly striving to ensure access to justice in our community. She taught me how to better manage a challenging docket with grace, resolve, and a sense of humor. Above all else, Nushin just knows how to always treat people with compassion and understanding. She's an incredible leader, a dependable colleague, and during my years in REG, she was awesome. She was someone you could call at any time for advice and guidance. I am here today on behalf of the Miami-Dade Bar Association, formerly known as the DCBA. And out of the 105 years of existence of the association, I am the first female criminal defense attorney and former female public defender. And I say this only because similarly, Chief Judge Safey is the first former female defense attorney and public defender to be chief. And I am honored to be able to serve as president during the time that she is on the helm. And while she has very big shoes to fill, I have no doubt that she will do so wonderfully. I think my very good friend, Jude Facciadomo, president of the Florida Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers and a former APD, says it best. What can I say about Judge Safey, or Noosh, as she is affectionately known? Well, let me explain Noosh. Noosh is not a nickname. It is a state of being. It means you are tough but fair, kind but firm, brilliant but approachable. It's not just what you want in a judge, but in another human being. All of us could stand to be a bit more Noosh. Today, I stand here before all of you and I ask us all, let us strive to be a little more Noosh. On behalf of the Miami-Dade Bar Association, I am privileged to be able to bestow this Constitution to my good friend and former Assistant Public Defender colleague, Chief Judge Nushin Safey.
I missed some people on Zoom since I can't see you, but I got you now. Nakia Ruffin, president of the Gwen Cherry Black Lawyer Women's Association. Bennett Brummer, our former public defender, and Ariana Fajardo, former U.S. attorney and our former circuit court judge. Hi, guys. Now for remarks on behalf of the National Association of Women Judges and the Florida Association of Women Lawyers, Miami chapter, we have the past president of both organizations, our own Judge Lisa Walsh.
Chief Judge Soto, my colleagues, honored guests, my beloved family of Judge Safey, friends, and our new Chief Judge Safey. I am delighted to have the honor of speaking for my dear friend Nushin Safey as she's sworn in to be our new Chief Judge. Delighted, but not surprised. Nushin is hardwired for this job. She is a highly skilled, confident, informed leader, the kind of leader who puts judges, lawyers, stakeholders, and members of the public at ease. Leadership is in her bones. It's part of her DNA. And in taking this position, we are all the beneficiaries of her unique qualities, her skills, and her attributes. I've been a witness to how Nushin's natural abilities have led to her successes on and off the bench. We met as young lawyers in the public defender's office. And to a lawyer like me, Chicken Little, the sky was always falling. There wasn't a pitfall or a problem that I wouldn't find, invent, or worry about. But Nushin was different. She was a dauntless warrior. How can I describe her as a lawyer? This is a dated reference, and with respect to Dory, the wrong gender, but if we were Ocean's 11, Nushin was Danny Ocean. She was the George Clooney character. She was the natural, unmistakable leader of the pack. Now, Lord Simon was Brad Pitt because, of course, she's the prettiest. And me? Do you all remember that sweaty IT guy in Ocean's 11? You remember that guy in the hotel room with the earpiece who was always on the verge of a heart attack? Does that guy even have a name? Well, that was me. Trying cases as a public defender, you expect that things are going to go wrong. Sometimes the problems seem unsurmountable. But just like Danny Ocean, Nushin would prevail. Her work ethic, her strategic ability, commitment, and confidence were unparalleled. And she was never boneheaded about it. She took everyone's opinions into consideration. She listened. She respected and understood the other side. She respected and appealed to the judges. Her clients believed in her, and so did her trial partners, her nervous appellate lawyer, and yes, the judges and the prosecutors too. Now, Andrea Wolfson, I have not forgotten you. You and Nushin overlapped, not quite overlapped, while you were working as an assistant state attorney, and you were Kate Blanchett, the Brad Pitt character in Ocean's 8. So you tell me, who's better looking, Kate Blanchett or Brad Pitt? Okay, who can say? What makes Nushin truly unique is that her leadership ability and skills are within a person who is also warm, empathetic, compassionate, patient, and caring. She's not in this for personal glory, but for the good of the circuit and for all of us. Her leadership skills, compassion, and warmth extend to her personal life too, to her friends and her family. She is our confidant. She has our backs. And no matter what's going on with her friends and loved ones, if it's an illness, a relationship issue, an election, a hurricane, she took me and my 2 gigantic dogs into her house for a hurricane, any problem, she doesn't just listen. She helps us troubleshoot in the most effective, practical, caring way. And every time, no matter what, we feel better and we're able to solve the problem. She is that morning phone call on the way to work for so many of us. And for me, there is no sweaty IT guy, nervous, sky is falling, negative problem that I can lob at her that she has not helped me triage and solve. Being a judge is first and foremost being a leader. To be effective, you must understand the case, the controversy, the law, and most of all, the players in the courtroom. When Nushin became a judge, she was immediately assigned leadership roles as a judge. And she excels because of her poise, confidence, communication skills, command over every situation, understanding of stakeholders' point of view, how to get the job done, and how to problem solve. Her warmth, compassion, and empathy help her take care of her judges. Folks, Chief Judge Nushin Saifi is no accident. She may say that she is here because of the support of her colleagues and friends, but I disagree. I think this is providence. This is because of who she is and how she's made. We are in good hands because you have chosen to lead us, Nushin. You're our Danny Ocean in so many ways. We have your back. We believe in you, and we are so lucky to have you as our leader.
And now for remarks by, by family, but not by family, by Judge Lourdes Simon, who is apparently Brad Pitt. And by the way, Lisa, I did not make an appearance in that movie, so I'm pretty upset about it. But the cuter one, by the way, is George Clooney. Sorry. No offense, Lourdes.
Okay.
So on behalf of her friends and family, Lourdes Simon.
Can't say I've ever been called Brad Pitt. Family, friends, distinguished guests, colleagues, Chief Judge Soto, and now Chief Judge Saifi. What an honor and privilege to be here today. From having been asked by one of my oldest, not in age, and dearest friends to speak today at such a special and momentous day. After all that's been said, I feel like I should just say congratulations and sit down and I'd be ahead, but I'm not. Of course, don't give me a mic and a podium. How do I describe 27 years of sisterhood in 3 or 4 minutes? Thanks. But as I prepared for this today, I wrote down some words that describes my friend Nushin. I wrote down honest, loyal, smart, strong, humble, fair, loving, passionate, compassionate, leader, dedicated. And the list just went on and on. Each and every one of those adjectives describes my friend Nushin to a T. So it's no surprise to all of us that know her that we are here today to celebrate this accomplishment in her life and career. I met Nushin in 1994 when we were young, starry-eyed public defenders eager to prove ourselves. Nushin, a transplant from Connecticut of Iranian parents. Myself, born and raised in Miami of Cuban parents. We immediately bonded, and I quickly realized we had so much in common. The love of family, friends, and the passion for the law. Now, not being from Miami, I figured I'd have to teach her a few things so that she could survive and kind of understand the lingo when people were speaking around her. So I taught her some Cuban sayings. I said to her, if you hear someone say to you, no te ahogues en un vaso de agua, translation, don't drown in a glass of water, they're basically telling you, stop stressing out. If you hear one of our colleagues who has a complicated case say something like, esto es un arroz con mango, this is a rice with mangoes, it means the case is complex. And this one, everyone may not get, but of course the classic saying, too little, too late. Not even green guavas can save you. I will translate that one. You may have to ask a Cuban friend to translate it for you. She learned them all, and to this day uses them accordingly. Over the years, we grew as lawyers and as friends, and she taught me so much more than I ever taught her. We've shared good times throughout our lives in our careers, such as trial successes, promotions, investitures. We've shared good times in our personal lives, such as many celebrations, the joys of raising our beautiful children together. And we've also had some hard times, the joys of raising our beautiful children together. Seriously? So we've shared the loss of friends, family members, illnesses, and heartaches. But through it all, Nushin has always been my constant rock, my sounding board,
my shoulder to cry on, and the voice of reason. Whenever I go to an investiture, I feel like you want to know just a little something about the person that maybe you didn't know before you got there. So I'm going to share just 3 fun facts with you about Nushin. And I think you kind of already heard a little bit about her singing. She loves to sing, and she loves to sing in her car. And she'll bolt out the tunes basically to Lovely Day, George Michael's Freedom, and of course, any Maroon 5 song. Also, Nushin has many friends, and she loves each and every one of them and always stays in touch with them, and I'm sure many of them are watching. Her friends are from every facet of her life: high school, college, public defender's office, law school, and of course, the famous girls' trips with all of them. And the last thing I'll share with you is, did you all know that Nushin has an alter ego? Especially when she goes to a restaurant or to a fast food place. So it's not, because her name is often misspelled or mispronounced here in Miami, if you go to a Starbucks and you happen to see Nushin and you hear the barista say, latte for Nina, latte for Lisa, that's Nushin. She'll walk right up and you're like, I thought that was Lisa. No, that's me. To the point that when I leave the state of Florida now, I'm known as Lori because it's just easier. Nushin, when you came to us a few years ago and told us of your plans to run for chief, we were all so excited for you and for the circuit as a whole. We knew that your commitment and dedication would make you the best chief judge for all of us. Judge Soto, you have been an incredible leader over the course of the last 8 years. I think the DBR called you an Amazonian warrior in your fight for the civil courthouse, and that you are. Thank you for your... for your leadership and years of service. And on behalf of all of us, Nushin, congratulations. We are so excited for you, so proud of you. Can't wait to see what the future brings, and Godspeed. Love you.
And now for further remarks on behalf of the family and friends of the Chief Judge, we have Judge Miguel de la O.
Best part about this is I got to take off my mask. May it please the court, Chief Judge Emeritus Soto, colleagues, honored guests, family, friends, and Chief Judge Safety. Welcome to Game of Thrones Season 9. The passing of the scepter to the mother of all dragons. First, let me point out the obvious. I look at all these intelligent and accomplished women who are here as her speakers, and I am grateful that Chief Judge Safety invited me to speak at this affair as the token male. Let's face it, my presence on the program accomplishes exactly 3 things. First, it raises the median age. Second, it lowers the median EQ. And third, it allows me to brag about my friend Nushin. And the key word is friend. Nushin, for reasons known only to her, allowed me to join her posse when I first joined the bench. She trained me to be a better judge, and she made me her friend. And her friendship has been a blessing. Everyone here and on Zoom who calls Nushin a friend knows exactly what I mean. Being Nushin's friend is special. Her loyalty to her friends is legendary, and her support for them is unwavering. Her loyalty to the 11th Judicial Circuit and its judges is also unquestionable. As the administrative judge of the criminal division, she always had her lawyers' back, her judges' backs. It is no wonder we call her the mother of all dragons. It takes a special kind of leadership, power, and intestinal fortitude to lead 122 baby dragons who all have a mind of their own. Has a chief judge ever taken the reins and faced so many critical issues all at once? A once-in-a-century pandemic, ongoing construction of a new courthouse, having to decide whether to close the old courthouse, and an aging death penalty bar that threatened to derail numerous trials. All of this in her first month. The bright side is that the next 95 months should all be easy coasting, right? Right? If you see Nushin, lie to her. Tell her it's going to be easier from now on. She tackled all of these issues the way that she always does, head on, consulting with people that she trusts and with experts, evaluating her options, and then deciding on a plan and executing it, as a true leader does. Judge Safey was born to lead this circuit. We all know she has Judge Soto's fancy shoes to fill and Judge Soto's record of excellence to live up to. We likewise know she will succeed in living up to these expectations with her usual grace, charm, and wit. The same way that she led the criminal division, the same way that she leads her family, and the same way that she leads her friends. I am blessed every day to be one of those friends. This is a great day for the 11th Judicial Circuit. Congratulations, Chief Judge Safey.
And now please welcome a very special guest, Dr. Shiva Gofrani, the Chief Judge's sister.
Hi, everybody. So for those of you who don't know me, I am Shiva Gofrani, the baby sister to the judge, though if you want to curry favor, ask her who's older. She loves that. And I have to say, it's a lot of what I'm going to say is going to echo what was said here today, and it's so heartwarming. I will really try not to cry, though I'm sure I will cry. The thought that everyone here sees everything about her that I have seen for my 51 years is so deeply special to me. It just warms my heart as she's here in this state with hurricanes and people unmasked and unvasked. So I'm so glad that you are all here to take care of her. And so thank you. Okay. So standing up here today, having been told that I could only use 3 to 5 minutes to discuss and describe my sister, the love of my life, filled me with some angst, because how could I sum up my feelings for the judge, having been with her every step of the way for my 51 years? All of us here who have spent time in her presence know her as the warm, kind, generous soul who also is as deeply emotional as she needs to be until that moment where she needs to be deeply unemotional. And then bam, right? Also, as we know, Nushin has liked to be a protector from a young age. She literally protected me every day of our lives. Whether it was animals in the wild or in her home, or her baby sister, who she literally had to bail me out of credit card debt, protect me from bad grades from my mother, or her clients in the judicial system. To know Nushin is to know a fierce love like no other. Since we know she has always loved to champion the underdogs, whether the underdogs are animal or human variety, I wanted to tell one of my favorite Nushin stories that I like to call the parable of Nushin versus the squirrel. I don't know if anyone has heard this. It's my earliest memory of the intensity to champion that she's always had. Circa 1977, big sister Nushin and I are riding home on the bus. Unlike Nushin, I was a complete and total coward. Sina, my cousin, who is here, will attest to that. I was very wimpy. I was always a little bit anxious, and I felt like I was the nervous to her kind of steely-eyed person. So on this particular day, we're driving home on the bus. I'm sure I was not sitting next to her. She was cooler than I was. Nushin's eagle vision spots on the street a squirrel, half dead, dragging its legs because it had been hit by a car. She decides to march up to Mr. Bailey, who is like a vintage bus driver in 1977, the sweet 60-year-old bald man. He's very calm and quiet. He is no match for this 9-year-old. So when she orders him to stop that bus, open the door, he takes one look at her and he promptly complies and opens the door. I mean, Judge Nushin had spoken. He did it. Can you imagine if that happened nowadays? What would the lawyers have done? So Nushin trots off the bus and goes to pick up this half-dead squirrel. And at this point, I'm biting my nails and I'm beside myself and I'm hearing and looking at her in tears. She reaches to pick up the squirrel and it promptly bites her. As we're all looking shocked, what does Nushin do? She just literally saunters back on the bus and gives us all that look that we've all gotten before. I'm completely engaged, but I'm also completely indifferent. That look where, she's like, You've all gotten the look. The look that shows that while she did everything she could to help this needy animal, and she was completely still nonplussed that this possibly rabid squirrel just bit her. It was like vintage "don't mess with me" Judge Newsham material. Through our years together in high school and then at Georgetown, and even briefly sharing a bedroom in New York City for one semester, what was always most apparent to me, and still is that even though I was her baby sister, seemingly always 2 steps behind my big sister, I never felt like I was in her shadow, because Newsham always steps aside to make sure that I have had my own space, since she deeply believes, and I know all of you feel this way, that there is more than enough room for all of us as strong women in the field. It's one of the most beautiful aspects of her personality, that just when you think she's being a little cold, a little hard, maybe even ignoring or dismissing you, right, Jana? She manages to be the deepest and kindest and warmest soul ever. And I could not be happier to have her as my big sister. I feel like the luckiest girl in the world. Thank you, Mom, for that. Of gifts to bestow. First of all, if anyone remembers when Newsham had her investiture almost 13 years ago at the age of 40, when she first became a judge, she stood up there in all of her glory and she said, if any of you know me, you know that I'm kind of pretending that this is my Oscar acceptance speech. And Lord, don't you know it? I know that's what's going to happen today as well. So Noosh, you might not ever get an actual Oscar, because even though we like to be actresses, we're not. Here you go. We love you. This is to Chief Judge Newsham, winner of the Best Warrior Woman Around, though on here it really says Best All Around Bad, a word I won't say because I promised my mother I would not swear. So that's one. And stay here, because the next one. Where do you go from here? This is my final gift. She's clearly reached the pinnacle here. While becoming the chief judge of Miami-Dade County is a crowning achievement, where does one go from here? So the honest answer is that we also know that she's not only a lawyer and a judge and a sister and a daughter and a mother and a friend and the best aunt to my children ever, but as the sister and daughter of doctors, and especially in light of some recent events with some cats and some ringworm, it's only appropriate that I bestow upon you something that you can probably wear under your robe, the highest echelon. Your very own white coat. Oh. Because really, she's not only Chief Judge Newsham Gofrani Safi, that's Dr. Chief Judge Newsham Gofrani Safi. To you. I will just say this, Newsham. You are the light of my life, you are the apple of my eye, and you have expanded my joy 10 million times over. I love you so much, truly.
Thank you, Dr. Shiva, by the way. That's when you thought the speeches were over. I'm speaking now on behalf of Judge Safi's family and friends, but also as the soon-to-be no longer chief judge. Good afternoon. The mayor left, Commissioner Hayman, Justice Lawson, Lagoon, whatever. I love you all. To the family, to my family, by the way, back there, say hi, my family. Thank you and welcome for being here. Today is bittersweet for me because even though we're here to celebrate Chief Judge Safi on her accomplishments as being elected chief judge, like we discussed, about 9.5 years ago, I'm saying goodbye to the job that I truly loved. That isn't to say I don't need a break, because I loved every minute of representing the 11th Circuit. But I will tell you, I went to the doctors, my blood pressure is down, and my husband is very happy. Which is... So how do I begin? First, this is like a big thank you. I almost called the AV unit and said, can you do the little voice with all the thank yous, with all the names? Because I'm never going to get through with everyone. But there's some people I have to talk about. I already mentioned Sandy Lonergan, who's standing up and taking care of something like she always does. The amazing Sandy Lonergan. And my 30th floor ladies, Sandy Garcia and Mary Woolley Larea, who are here. And all of my Mexican party friends that are watching, because they always gave me Mexican parties, even though they don't like tacos. I love them. I could not have done this without you. And to our administration, to purchasing, to sites, to the AV department, to self-help, to, I wrote a list and I can't find it. Where did it go? But there's the interpreters. They always yell at me when I don't say their names. The mediators, self-help, I think I said, Veterans Court, mental health, Grace Court, you name it. There are so many divisions and so many staff members, and we are only as good as them. And Oscar, by the way, and Tallahassee, if any of you are watching, are also amazing. So any success that we have as chiefs and you have as judges are because of AOC. So I think we give them the biggest round of applause. So I wanted to tell you a little bit of what we've done in the last 8.5 years, and I'm only going to give you the highlights. So we did Veterans Court, Grace Court. We revamped CJIS. Thank you, Sally Heyman. We're getting a new courthouse. We pivoted to Zoom in 2 weeks, and we've done 1 million hearings on Zoom since last April. We got through the foreclosure crisis. We have online dispute resolution. We have $14 million in grants coming to our circuit. We have a professionalism committee. Thank you, Andrea. And Tom over here. And professionalism panels. We have paperless in circuit court, county civil, probate, and we have court map in all paperless divisions. Thank you, Jennifer Bailey and Sites. We opened the Unified Family Court, I think the best unified family court in the state of Florida. So I thank Ariana Fajardo, who is listening now. She was a big part of that. I thank the stakeholders for everything they've done, but I need to talk about Commissioner Sally Heyman. What can I say, girlfriend? Which is what she calls everybody, girlfriend. Unless you're a guy, I hope she doesn't call you girlfriend. You're amazing. You're amazing, helpful, thoughtful, persevering, loyal, etc., etc., etc. But more than that, you're a friend for life. The court could never, ever repay you for championing our new building, our public safety, the revamping of CJIS, e-notify, mental health with Judge Leifman, and our mental health building that's coming online, our children's courthouse, our new courthouse. I could go on forever. Please stand up for Commissioner Heyman. And now to the bar. The lawyers in this incredible city and across the state, but Miami-Dade by far has the best lawyers. In the courthouse effort, I had 2 people that helped Judge Bailey and I every single day for 7 years. 48 commission meetings, countless strategery meetings, and that would be Jorge Luis Lopez and his wife Marile Lopez, who I consider family, and that's why they're in my box, and Pablo Acosta, who are not here. There is no money in the world that could pay for the amount of help that they gave to this judicial system, and they also are owed a standing ovation. In the bond effort, of course, Gene Stearns, who I hope is watching, he was the first one to come to me when I smelled the moldy building and said, oh my God, we need a building. And he came to me and said, I have an idea. I'm eternally grateful for Gene, another champion of the courthouse. We also have Mary Barzy, Herman Rusomano, Julie Kane, Joe Sirota, Neil Roth, who put up his own money and did a survey and helped us understand what we would need to do for the bond. We will always be eternally grateful for everything you've done for us as well. Aliette Rods, Vivian de las Cuevas, Georgie Piedra, Rick Martinez Sid, Ricardo Martinez, H.T. Smith, Aboda, the Dade County Bar, and all of the VBAs. It didn't matter the time of day I called, weekend, nights. These people were there for the court system. We didn't do this alone. We couldn't do this alone. And we should also be eternally grateful for them. In addition, we now have a new free champion. His name is Rick de la Guardia, and he's watching. He's not here today. He is an engineer. And when we learned that there was a problem with the Dade County Courthouse, he's Francis de la Guardia's husband. He had been on CNN talking about what had happened in Surfside, and he's been volunteering for free. He even texted me this morning, do we know anything about the columns? I mean, it's amazing how many people talk about lawyers. Lawyers are great, and they always have our back, and definitely for the judicial system. So I am always proud to be a lawyer and a part of that. So the pandemic, that was another fun thing to get. I almost eked out, but I had to get a piece of it. And again, the lawyers came to the rescue. The Aboda leadership, Stuart Ratson, who's sitting right here, and Jude Facidomo, and Neil Roth, and Dr. Bailey, another person, Dr. Bailey, Dr. Tooks, Dr. Ratson, Stuart's father. Those doctors have been meeting with me weekly and now every 2 weeks, bi-monthly, since I would say late April, helping us determine when we should close the courthouse, how we should close the courthouse, what PPE we should use, what kind of sanitizer should we use, do we wear a mask, not wear a mask, 6 feet, 3 feet, and ad nauseum with Kathy Fernandez-Rundle, with Carlos, with the corrections. We meet every week. We still do. And if there's something going on and we need to meet earlier, if there's a bell curve that they're going to send us, the doctors have continuously helped us. And all of that for free, never asking for one thing back, but just to make sure that all of us were healthy. So I think they deserve a standing ovation. To my colleagues, a lot of you always say, Bertie, you're nuts. Why do you want to be chief? How crazy are you to herd all these cats? Which I say I herd lions because you're not cats. You're not that nice, but I love you. Actually, I disagree. You were the least of my problems. Between the building and the pandemic and the foreclosure crisis and the whatever, you were easy and supportive and kind and patient. You trusted me with the court, your work, and many times with your personal life issues. And for that, I will always be grateful. Representing you has been the honor of my lifetime. And you are my family, other than the guys over there. I love each and every one of you, and I thank you, even the ones that yell at me from Diana's, which I will not name, over the courthouse. I love him too. Now you know. You are the best colleagues, not in the state, not in the nation, but in the world. So thank you very much. And now to my family and friends. First, to my parents, my inspiration. You will always be with me. And
and guide me in my choices. And God bless me with both of you. Oh, here it goes. I know Bobby is here, and he's very proud. To my loving husband, Gabe, who is probably the happiest man, like I said, in the world today that I'm handing the gavel to Nushin. Thank you for your patience and understanding in your own special way, because Gabe is special. I love you very much. To my daughter, the one that made my life complete, you are my greatest achievement, not because you're a great lawyer, which is pretty great for me, but because you're an incredible human being. You could not make me any prouder of the woman and person you are. I love you with all my heart and soul. To my brothers, Eduardo, Osvaldo, and Ricky, and my sister-in-law, Claudia, and my nephew, Jose Luis, I want to thank you for being here today. They have been my rock, the ones that have helped me when I've been busy with the building, helping me take care of my parents. You always have my back, and I love the three of you and the extended family that you come with. To Bonnie, the little sister I never knew I wanted. You were my biggest cheerleader and stalker. And I love everything you do for me and my family. For Michelle, the mommy of Nicholas, our mascot, we love you. For Gina Beovides, my little mini me, and colleague for University of Miami for life, thank you for being with me. And you know, there's a person that has become like family to me is Judge Bailey, Jennifer. We were not friends when we started. We were colleagues, but we didn't know each other well. And I got to tell you, she's the best thing I got as chief judge. The friendship and love and my little Jiminy Cricket, you're invaluable. And the 8.5 years that I've had, you know, whatever I've done, you've been right beside me. And, I can never, ever, ever repay you for that. Carl and Lynn, I love you. And Martin Rosie, also on Zoom, I love you. So now to Nushin. So what can I say that hasn't been said? She's amazing. First of all, thank you, Mom, Dr. Gofrani, for giving us this beautiful woman, powerful, strong woman. And that only means that comes from you and Dad, right? She's amazing. I met her at the public defender's office running around with Lourdes Simon. Bonnie introduced me, and she's fearless. She never gives up. She always has a brilliant idea. She always has a problem-solving attitude to anything that comes before her. Her strength and resolve impressed me so much that when she became a judge, I asked her to be my associate administrative judge of criminal. And then when I was elected as chief, I asked her to be my administrative judge of criminal. And I hate to say it, but she did a better job than me. She's been unbelievable. But in addition to being smart and capable, I know she's an amazing daughter, an amazing sister, an amazing aunt for the nephews and nieces in the back, and an incredible mom to the three of you. I know all about you. I see all your pictures. I know what you're doing, what you're not doing, why your mom is pulling her hair out in the morning. I hear all about it. I hear about Shiva and all hers, and about Charlie. I hear all about you, because when you know Nushin and she loves you, you know every single thing about Nushin. She tackles life like she tackles the courthouse. And we're very, very lucky, and we've already got to see her in action, right? She handled DCC like a pro. I called her. She's like, I'm closing it down. Okay, all right. And the pandemic, whatever, she whipped that into shape. Judge Bailey and I would have written a list. We would have written things down. We would have talked to, not Noosh. Noosh was like, I got this. So, being chief is a weird job, I gotta say. And you need some things to make you get through the day. So I brought you a survival kit. Mints for the unexpected guest at your office, or if they call you from channel 23 or 51 or something that you got to speak and you've eaten onions, this is what you need. A lot of tissue. Emergency chocolate. A large bottle of ibuprofen. And finally, this is something only Cubans know, and it's got a bad word in it, so I will ask Oliver to later on tell her what it means. A bottle of TTM. I don't know if you all know what that means. Tíralo todo a, and think about it. Those will get you through. And finally, Amy Garcia is going to bring up a bouquet honoring a flower. One last thing before we pass the gavel. I forgot to thank, they were the first people on my speech. Maritza and Robert. Maritza's listening. My Jay and my bailiff and my bailiff Robert. You were my first thing. All right. Now I'm going to ask the family of Judge Safey to come to the podium and join me.
Wait, Judge Soto, if you don't mind. Everyone, please be seated. Judge Soto, as your departing last act as chief, I'm going to ask for a brief point of privilege.
Brief.
So for those of you who've not been to investitures before, the person who'd be swearing in, the judge that was getting sworn in was always a judge. And it became a tradition, or I guess rather, maybe now as I'm chief, I'm going to call it a bad habit. But rather than just do the swear in, an opportunity for the judge that was doing the swearing in to sneak in a speech. And in front of a courtroom full of people, the judge down there would always look back at Birdie and be like, Chief, may I have a point of privilege? And like, what's she going to say? So she would always very gracefully, beautifully, and with all class, smile. You knew what she was thinking in her head, but she would always say, yes, of course. So Birdie, this point of privilege is for you. And let me move over so that people can see you. On behalf of all the judges, JAs, bailiffs, your beloved AOC team, we are so grateful to you for all that you've done for us and for the Miami-Dade community. While there are many judges who are great in the courtroom, those skills do not always translate into being a good administrative judge. And Judge Soto has been an excellent administrator at our local level and as our chief representing our needs as a circuit in the state of Florida. She has protected us and nurtured us, and she is not afraid to stand up for what is right, even when it's unpopular. And she always conducts herself with dignity and grace. Many people have heard me say, what would Birdie do? One of my slogans, not that I always do it. And I'm not gonna lie, a lot of people have said to me in the last 9 weeks, well, what would Birdie do as I'm doing something? And I'm like, In March of 2013, Birdie became the first woman, the first Hispanic, and the first Cuban American to serve as the Chief Judge of Miami. I love this courtroom, but it always cracks me up that I got these two old white guys on either side. And I know some of you, Oliver told me the other day who they are. I can't remember who they are. I'm not saying that they weren't important. I'm sure they were really important. And then yesterday, my mom came to my new office, and in the chief judge's conference room are all the pictures of all the chief judges, and yours is going to be up there now. But it's literally, I don't know how many, I can't remember, I didn't count, but a lot of just a sea of white male faces. Again, they're all wonderful. And then there's going to be Birdie's face up there. And it's incredible. It's incredible that it hasn't happened sooner, but Birdie's election as chief was significant for so many reasons. And That certainly wasn't lost on me at the time. At her swearing-in ceremony back in March of 2013, I was honored to be one of her speakers. And at that time, my kids actually had helped me with the speech. At that time, Jana wanted to know if you were going to get more money for the job of chief. And when I told her no, she was like, I don't get it. So here I am. And that, like, the thought of me being chief was not even, in the horizon at that point. But at that time, I said, speaking about Birdie, perhaps those who are best suited for power are those that have never sought it, those who have leadership thrust upon them and take up the mantle because they must, and find to their own surprise that they wear it well. And for those of you out there, I'm sure some of you know, that's Professor Dumbledore from Harry Potter. Wise words. Chief Judge Soto wore it very well. She has served with incredible honor for the maximum of 4 full terms over 8 years, every time elected without opposition by all of us. She successfully advocated, as you heard, for the new civil courthouse, and it's being built. I know people are like, yeah, right. No, it's being built. Drive down there. It's being built thanks to Birdie, thanks to Jennifer, thanks to efforts of so many, but Birdie was tireless. She also navigated the global pandemic, and she continues to help me navigate that. And these 2 epic events occurring in the context of managing the 3rd largest jurisdiction in the country. She manages 123 judges. Whenever we talk to other judges, you forget how we are the biggest. I've yet to talk to anyone. I don't know who 1 and 2 are, because whenever we're anywhere, we're the biggest. Who?
Broward's too.
Broward's bigger than us?
No, we're the biggest.
No, we're the biggest in the country. It's 3rd biggest in the country. Anyway, she managed 123 judges, 700 total employees. I just learned that fact about AOC across 11 buildings. Again, quoting my speech from March of 2013, where I also compared her to Spider-Man. In the world of high roads, she is always on the highest. She is both superhero and wizard. Those words were true back in March of 2013, but my God, they're so true now. As I follow in her footsteps, I was doing so well. As I follow in her footsteps, I realize more than ever that I will never fill her shoes. I have the incredible good fortune of doing my job with her at my side and in front of me as a beacon and a guiding light. I think I've called her about 1 billion times since July 1st and probably prior to that, although I'm getting a little better. She did all of that without the safety net that she has given me throughout my career. Birdie, we love you, and we offer you today some more gifts to add to your collection. We know you have limited wall space, and to all Gina and the other Canes people, there would be no Canes gifts today. So this, for those of you who have been to Casa Feroy, the beautiful trophy store that we all go to, I went in there and I'm like, she's got that trophy. She's got that one. She's got that one too. What do you have that she doesn't have? And they actually had one, which is beautiful. I'm afraid to even take it out, but it's a crystal gavel. And on the handle, I can't read it because I don't have my glasses on, but it says from the 11th Judicial Circuit family, and it has the dates that you were chief. And then it has this really cool stand, and it says, in grateful recognition of your years of dedication and success as Chief Judge of the 11th Judicial Circuit of Florida. And hopefully one day soon. I hope one day soon she has a real office to work in, and the DCC will either be reopened so she can actually put that somewhere. And also a photo book. Thank you all to our colleagues and our AOC family for helping contribute to this. The legacy of Chief Judge Bertila Soto. It has the dates on it again. There's hilarious pictures in there. I'm just going to point out one while Rudy's here. Which, yeah, it's and that's going to be a whole another day, another speech. But yeah, that one's in there too, just to let you know. But there's most of you are represented in here, and it's just hopefully all the fun memories of your last 8.5 years as chief. And then one last gift that Sandy, I'm going to ask you now. Right, and then, and I'm not going to take credit for this, but it's a beautiful letter that Sandy and I both signed, and all of your colleagues. And it's basically a tribute to what you did in the last 8.5 years. for all of us and signed by all of your colleagues. And hopefully one day you'll have an office and you can have. And I guess now we can.
Now we
swear
can-
in? Okay, now. Sam.
Where's the oath?
I don't have yours though.
No? Maybe you have mine.
I have it, but I don't have, didn't they do a special copy for you?
No. Marissa, you know where the oath is?
Here.
It was behind you.
Where do you want them?
Where's grandma? Come on, she doesn't smell. I promise she took a bath.
Huh?
Picture of.
Thank you, Alan.
All right, repeat after me. I, Nushin Gofrani Saifi,
Nushin Gofrani Saifi,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support,
protect,
protect, and defend
and defend
the Constitution and government of the United States
the Constitution and government of the United States
and of the state of Florida,
and of the state of Florida,
and that I am duly qualified to hold office
and I'm duly qualified to hold office
under the Constitution of the state,
under the Constitution of the state,
and that I will well and faithfully perform
and that I will well and faithfully perform
the duties of the office of the Chief Judge
the duties of the office of the Chief Judge
on which I am now about to enter.
on which I'm now about to enter.
So help me
So
God.
help me God.
So here's the gavel. May God be with you.
Thank you. All right, people, home stretch. So after my election as Chief Judge last February, I imagined this day a million times. And I think you all understand that this is not exactly the day that I imagined. I'm looking at all you all out there with the masks on, and it's surreal and it's funny and it's sad all at one time, but I'm still grateful to be here. And that's the one thing I can say that has not wavered, is in every rendering of this day in my imagination, I was always overwhelmed with gratitude. I describe my life often as happy chaos and perfectly imperfect or imperfectly perfect. And that's it. It's just, I think I truly wake up every day feeling so lucky. As you all know, the Dade County Courthouse was closed in the wake of the Surfside tragedy. And I did not make the decision that as easily as Chief Judge Soto said. I had her, I had Judge Bailey, I had Sandy Larnick, and I had so many people help me with that. And it was terrifying. And I'm glad everyone says I'm fearless. You know, I guess I fake it really well, as I did with the squirrel incident too. She left out the part of how I got home and bawled my eyes out, and my dad and my mom were on the phone with the Centers for Disease Control to make sure I didn't have rabies. It was a very dramatic. But I will say this, I didn't cry on the bus. I waited till I got home and saw my dad, and then I lost it. But anyway, normally, for those of you that don't know, I think most of you do, is we have these ceremonies in courtroom 6-1, and we had been putting it off because of COVID. And then finally it came together and we're like, oh, We're going to schedule it for September 10th. And then all of a sudden on July 9th, we're closing down DCC. But it's poetic for me to be here. I think it's poetic for Bertie to be here. We were both kind of excited when we figured out it was going to be here. Coincidentally, my investiture in January of 2008, for those of you who were there, the ceremonial courtroom was being renovated. So my investiture was in courtroom 4-1 of DCC, not in 6-1. So it's almost an omen. This courtroom was my courtroom for 8.5 years. It was Bertie's courtroom before it was mine. We both began our legal careers in this building. Bertie, as was mentioned, at the state attorney's office with Catherine Fernandez-Rundle, me at the public defender's office with Carlos, and I think Bennett's out there too, Bennett Brummer. It is so special to be in this setting with Carlos and with Kathy, who have been my mentors and partners for the last 8 years. I feel so at home here. And thank you, Kathy and Carlos, for everything that you have done with me and put up with me in the last 8 years. I learned just a tremendous amount from both of you. This place holds my entire history as a lawyer and a judge, and I think I am the first chief judge in Miami to have been an assistant public defender. So, and I still am so proud of that part of my career. So here's to the public defender's office. I know some of them are out here. And to Bennett Brummer, Rory Stein, and David Weed, and all the people there who helped me get here. In every fantasy vision of this day, the last few months, I always knew that Dory Foster Morales would be my bar speaker and Sabrina Pavese would be my DCBA speaker. It's so special to have these two incredible women leaders who I've had the pleasure of knowing for years, as they both outlined in their speeches. I won't go over that. But in addition to being incredibly accomplished, successful lawyers, they, again, with no extra anything, take on the mantle of leadership that we so desperately need. But again, with no fanfare. And Sabrina and Dory, thank you for all you do, honestly, to support me. What you've already done, but I know I'm going to be asking a lot of you in the days and months and years ahead. But all that you've done to support the judiciary and the bar and giving so much of your time in addition to your day jobs. I'm just too lucky. I appreciate all the comments that were made. It gets to be a little bit hard to listen to that. And I think Lisa touched on this. I've always said this. I don't think anyone gets anywhere, but I'll speak for myself. I'm not here without the people who've gotten me here. And while today may not be the day any of us imagined, it's certainly a day for perspective because I feel incredibly lucky as I look out at all of you. And I know that many of you, like me, have lived these last days, weeks, months, even years with the heaviest of hearts. Because while we are here, tomorrow we celebrate 20 years since 9/11. Because while we are here, others are grieving their lost children who so proudly and unquestionably have served their country. Still others, including my own family, my own Safi family, grieving lost loved ones who passed before the COVID vaccine was available. Still others grieving post-vaccine unfathomable loss. My heart goes out to all of you. There are fires and there are floods and there are storms and there's building collapses and there's still racism and sexism and there's still a lot of division. But today we get to stop for a moment and celebrate. And by definition, that means we are privileged. We have freedom and health and choice. I have been the beneficiary of so much good fortune and opportunity, and I would not be here otherwise, and I'm not afraid to say that. There are people that I have lost along the way that I would like to acknowledge. First is a dear friend of mine and a dear friend of Justin's, Nilda Pedrosa, a dear friend of so many of you, taken too young and too soon, and I would not be here without her. In addition to being on the JNC when I went through it, the very idea of becoming a judge was at least partially hers. My late father-in-law, Ernie Safi, and his brother, my uncle Gene Safi, and my own uncle, Mahmoud Adibi, these were men who were always so proud and interested in my daily court stories. At the beginning, they couldn't figure out whether I was a prosecutor or a PD. I'm not going to lie about that. And my uncle, before he passed, kept calling me Justice. I'm like, no, I'm a judge. But they're with me in my heart always. My dear friend and former colleague from the public defender's office, Paul Kaminsky, he would have been here. He would have been cracking up. He would have had a surly look on his face, but inside I know he would have been proud. I have to thank my judges. I've already said it best. You are the best. The judges of the 11th Judicial Circuit of Florida. When we go to conferences, this happened when I was at PD too, like people from other circuits, they totally want to be with the Miami crew. All right. I don't think I'm just saying that. You all can back me up. And we're definitely the most fun. And I think they all think that we're snobs, but it's because we're better. Thank you all so much for giving me the privilege of representing you. I'm looking at your faces and I could say wonderful things about each one of you. For your words of encouragement, especially the last few weeks, the last year, but definitely the last few weeks. Marissa Tinkler Mendez, I feel like she's like my little Jiminy Cricket. Veronica Diaz, who's out there, Tess Pooler, Gina Benavidez, people that just had this uncanny knack for knowing when I was really not feeling fearless, or like I was going to make it through the day. And they kind of just had this sixth sense of knowing when to call and give me that word of encouragement that I needed. So thank you so much to all of you. The teamwork that all of us have displayed over the last 18 months. If I was ever proud before, now I beam. And it's just an honor that I get to be able to walk around and brag that you're all mine. I call you my judges. I don't know how that sounds, but that's just what I'm going to call you, my judges. My pledge to all of you is that I will work hard every day and earn your ongoing faith. I will fight for you. My job is to enable you to do your jobs better and do your jobs as best you can. And that's what I'm going to do all day, every day. I will stand between you and trouble, and I will be available to you always. To all of our bailiffs and JAs and the AOC team, which includes IT and interpreters and case managers and directors and procurement and security, I can't say enough to express my gratitude, but especially again during the pandemic. The dedication of our AOC folks is unmeasurable. And I thought I knew who everybody was and what everybody did, but 8 years as admin, I learned a lot. But in the last 2 months alone, it's made me realize that the judges, I know we think we're a lot, we're nothing. We are nothing without the team that quietly supports us. So thank you to all. I wish I could thank you each individually, but I'm going to give a few shout outs. Amy Garcia, Evelyn Inza, and Maria Garcia. They were truly my left hand, my right hand, my feet, everything here at REG. Robert Adelardi, who I imagine is out there somewhere in Zoom land, who's our chief of our IT. We all affectionately refer to them as sites, which I guess stands for court IT, something. Yeah. Court information. Okay. So anyway, honestly, I have to say a huge shout out to our sites and our AV team, because they were pandemic heroes in every sense of the word. And people don't think about they think about the doctors, they think about the police officers. They don't think about who the supporting people are that get those people to be able to do their jobs. And our sites and our AV team, they're making today possible. Thank you, Lewis and Lohengrin. I don't know how we functioned the last 18 months without them, because as great as we are, unlike a lot of circuits, our technology is a little behind the times. This building is a dinosaur, and they somehow managed to have us up and running. In this building, we never shut down. We did not take a day off. And that was thanks, honestly, to our incredible IT team. And from here on out, all the future investitures are also going to be accessible on YouTube, which I think is wonderful. Eunice Sigler and Marissa Gavica, they're like the wedding coordinators of our public information officer, Eunice. I don't know where she is. She's putting out a fire somewhere. Yeah. And Marissa, our deputy public information officer, for making us look good, quite literally on some days, because they take our pictures as well, but for putting so much effort into the judges all day, every day. And on a personal note, I just want to say to all the REG team that's here today or out there, Team REG and my family in the felony jail diversion project, I miss you all so much. But the teamwork and camaraderie that you've all showed, not just during the pandemic, but every day, is something that was always an inspiration to me. And if I ever made it through the day, it's because of that. I have a new team now. They make everything happen. It's magical. I never worked with having so many people who do stuff for you. And it's, I guess I'm not used to it yet, because I still try to do some stuff myself and I screw it up. So now I'm learning to make sure that I let them do it. But Sandy Lonergan, I know it's already been said, I'm astounded at your wealth of knowledge and the depth of your dedication to the circuit. You are our fiercest protector, and we're so lucky to have you. And thank you for helping me these last 9 weeks or 10 weeks, which seem longer. Pat Gladson, who's our general counsel, she's out there. Those of you who know Pat, you think she's really quiet. Pat is a fierce warrior. Do not mess with Pat. I'm going to tell you all that now. Sandy Garcia, Sandy Weichel, Alex Camp, Mary Larea, Deirdre Dunn, I think she's out there, Sean and Solana and Anais and Lynette and Cheryl and all the women. It is all women on the 30th floor. Larry is the only man on the 30th floor. It takes a village to be the chief of the third largest jurisdiction in the country, and I'm so lucky to have this incredible village. Thank you to Harvey Rubin, who's out there, and his incredible team at the clerk's office. And today, one of my favorite people in the universe, who really truly became a family member to me, is, and I know she's beloved by all the judges, our friend and our jury pool wizard, Mary McLaughlin. When you're a lawyer, you don't realize what it takes because the judge basically sends the bailiff off to get jurors and they just show up. And when you become a judge, you realize how many people it takes to do that. Mary, you're in my heart always. Director Dan Jr., I'm so glad you're here. I thought you were going to be on Zoom. Doesn't he look nice? And assistant director, who was the director, Maridel Guevara. So she retired, and like so many people in our system, we come back. And she blessed us by coming back. You're both my friends, and really just more than anything, thank you for being in charge of my family. Corrections officers, you all have heard me say it too many times to count, are like my family. I don't know where Castro is, but when I left this building, Kevin Castro, my corrections officer for years, and then he really wasn't, but he still had a key to my office and the whole thing. I'm like, I looked at Judge Wolfson and Judge J-Lo. I'm like, listen, one of you guys has to take Castro for me because he comes with the office, with the territory. He's like my brother. Vince Patello, who's known me, but he was probably one of the first people. Vince is probably one of the first people. I've told Justin that we weren't going to tell anybody that I was pregnant with Jana, and I think I told Vince and a whole lot of other people, so Vince knew way back then. I've talked about Birdie, I can't say enough. But in addition to Birdie, I've been lucky to have a few other people that have been my incredible mentors and sometimes therapists, I'm not going to lie. Judge Joe Farina, who's out there. Judge Farina was my first chief. Thank you for your wisdom and guidance and for cultivating something in me that I did not know existed. H.T. Smith. H.T. Smith, that deserves some applause, H.T. Smith. And Judge Farina. I've been lucky to be mentored by both of them, but H.T. Smith, your optimistic and encouraging words in the context of all that you've seen and experienced always leaves me inspired and energized and just, I can't say enough. Judges Jerry Beth Cohen, Cindy Lederman, who I think Cindy's out there on Zoom land, and Steve Leifman. Where's Steve? There he is. I have learned so much watching you all at work, and your support has been my backbone. And if I can be 1/4 of the judge that you both have been, and Cindy too, then that's going to be quite a legacy because you're amazing. Thank you all for being my champion, but more importantly, champions for the courts. Commissioner Sally Heyman. I'm just going to go off script for a minute. So Commissioner Heyman is sitting next to Judge Walsh. They went to law school together. So I used to hear about Sally Heyman from Judge Walsh. And then I lived in Tallahassee for a short while. I worked at the public defender's office there, and Lisa had an argument, I think at the Supreme Court. You came to see me at the public defender's office, and Commissioner Heyman was there for days or something, some legislative, whatever you were doing back then. And I had never met you, and you walked in. And from that point on, I don't know, you thought, first of all, you came in and I was scared, and I don't scare easy. And I was like, wow, who is this person? She called me Nooch, not Noosh Jude, but Nooch for a long time. And then when I became associate admin and then admin of criminal is when I got to know you. And you're amazing. I don't know how, like it's already been said, but you've been a champion for the courts, but you don't ever get tired and you don't back down, or if you do, you certainly don't show it. And there's been so many days where I've been tired and exhausted in the CJIS stuff, and you just keep going. And just thank you for being in my corner. We're so lucky. In addition to my work village, I have a friends and family village, people that help me get through all the days. And I should begin at the beginning with my mom. Mom's here. Don't be fooled. That tiny but mighty person in the jury box is 82. Wow. She's also triple vaccinated. I want to tell Dr. Tooks and Dr. Bailey and Dr. Ratson if they're watching. My mom, I know she's in the courtroom. She's masked and she's triple vaxxed. I wish I could put her in a bubble. Mom, there are so many things to thank you for. I'm so lucky the universe gave me to you, for starters. But I know that I've derived my sense of constant gratitude from you. Mostly because you hammered into my head from the time that I was born that I should be grateful. You always taught us to think about others less fortunate, even when we're dealing with our own challenges like cancer or Alzheimer's disease. I remember that every good moment in our lives is always accompanied by a donation from you to somebody needy. I've joked, like I'd come home with a good report card and she's like, hey, we're going to send some, money to a family in Iran. And I'm like, I got the good report card. What's going on here? Yeah. So, but that's how you taught us to relish our good fortune, was by giving. And it was such an incredible lesson. And I want to point out to those of you that don't know, I think Judge Soto referred to her as Dr. Gofrani. She is a pediatrician. She's retired. She's a doctor. She believes in science. But she also, believes in the evil eye. So you can bet that at a moment like this, when we're celebrating our good fortune, she's giving anonymously to some family somewhere that is less fortunate. My dad could not be here. If he was, you would see him. He'd have a tripod and a big camera, and he'd be embarrassing me, but he'd be full of pride. My dad is the big reason that I was drawn to the courtroom into public service. He's a doctor too. He's a surgeon, a retired surgeon. But when he got to this country from Iran in 1966, and then I was born in 68. From my earliest memory, my father had just a palpable and contagious appreciation for the freedom and opportunity here. He never looked back. I mean, my mom used to talk about maybe going back, and my dad was like, no, we're staying here. We are Americans. At an early age, I was indoctrinated with gratitude for being an American, for free speech, for civil rights, for the light switches in the running water too. That's another story. But my father taught me about the civil rights movement when I was too young to even get it. I was about 4 or 5. He was so fiercely proud to be an American, but he was also not afraid to teach us about the darker sides of American history, because the ending and the moral were always the same, that liberty wins. And those were the seeds that were sown early in me. And I think that's how I got here. And I think at a moment like this, I want all of us to reflect on how lucky we are as lawyers and as judges, it's probably one of the most American things when you think about it. Being a lawyer being a lawyer in this country is just something so special. You get to talk about the Constitution, and as judges, we get to be ambassadors of that. And moments like this make us stop and reflect and think about what we do. And it's truly a privilege to be ambassadors of the Constitution, ambassadors of the rule of law. And I really have to thank my father for that. My sister, you've met. Where is she? There she is. She's every bit as amazing as you might imagine. She's also a bit of a social media celebrity doctor now, too. She's a doctor also. Yes, I'm the only one that's not a doctor. The greatest gifts she's given me, in addition to my wonderful brother-in-law, Charlie. Charlie's wandering around somewhere. Where is he? There he is. My nephew, Xander and Keon, my niece, Faria. Being a parent is nice, but being an aunt is the best. I love you 3 so much. And Shiva, you are my greatest treasure. And I think everyone who's here right now knows why. And there's so many other stories you could have told. I'm glad you didn't. Out there in YouTube land, there are some people watching that are my life force. Kim and Gillian and Beth from elementary school and middle school and high school. Cammie, Marianne, Lori, Lauren, Tara, Kim, Sarah, and Pete from college. Melissa and Jared in Connecticut. Jen Burden, who used to be an APD here, but she's in San Francisco now. Lisa and Matt in Brooklyn. Amy, Joe, and Barry in DC. I know that you would have all been here if times were different. I also know that you were in my heart and my soul always. My local life force. You know, the friends that are loyal to the death, the ones that will answer the call to meet you with a shovel and no questions. After the whole George Clooney Ocean's 11 thing, now I'm like, everyone's going to think I'm a criminal by night. But I'm going to start. Susan Bazorgi, who's there, left. She was here. Elisa, because we're going so long, because Soto didn't crack the whip enough on all of us. Elisa Quesada and Bonnie Riley. God help anyone who tries to get past any of these women. Fierce. Bonnie Sockelstone, who's out there on Zoom. Esther Jacobo, who's here. Chaka Ihekuba. I can't remember a time when you were not part of my life. I feel like I've known you forever. Fabiana Cohen, my gem. I always call you my gem. It's the truth. You're my gem. Maria Bilbao and Helene Bassett, who are my sisters and my best friends, all wrapped up in a perfect package. And Marcel, he's my trainer. He's my salvation also. Marcel, I love you. Rudy Ruiz and Robert Luck, my little brothers, I call them, Rudy and Bobby. I'm so proud of you both. We all are. Did you see, like, when their names get mentioned? Yeah, they're like rock stars. When I tell people I know them, they're like, oh, you know them? I do know them. See, they're here. Thank you for always championing me, even when you're on your own meteoric rise. And my big brothers, Will Thomas and Charlie Johnson, who I think are on YouTube, honest and loyal and always there for me. Larry Chester. Everyone who knows, I stand here, I did so many trials from this courtroom. And when I have to introduce the jury to Larry, they've already met Larry because he's been upstairs with Mary getting, organized and pulling the jury down. But I always introduce Larry, and I'm sure the lawyers are sick of hearing me say it. But I'm like, he's the best bailiff, not just in the world, but in the universe. And the jurors, oh. And then, but it's true. Is anyone going to disagree with me? Best bailiff. And I'm not going to lie, he misses you guys here so much. Our office now is so pretty, but it's quiet. It is quiet, so please come visit. But Larry was honestly the best decision I've ever made as a judge. He has walked ahead of me and behind me, but he's always by my side, and he always has my back. And I've said it before, Larry, I've said it so many times, but it's the truth. I don't know what I did. When I think back to the fact that John Thornton was almost going to hire you because Robert was going to the police academy, and I had to run over here and just please be my bailiff. I didn't even know anything other than Warren Schwartz told me that you were the best, and how lucky I got. I must have been something amazing in my past life to deserve you. And at almost 14 years, we're celebrating 14 years together in November. Larry is potentially, I think, the longest relationship I've ever had with a guy. I've been taken care of by two incredible judicial assistants. Monica Gallo, who I think is out there, was my first. She was a child, only 20, Jana's age, 23 when she started, but capable beyond measure. She was in charge of me and Larry. She really bossed us around a lot, but she took really good care of our chambers. And when she left to pursue her CPA, we were lost. And it took us a while to recapture that magic, but we did with Myra Perez. And while Myra is on a brief retirement hiatus, we've been blessed with Gypsy Yayamo. Her first day was, as you can all imagine, there's been a lot of chaos in the last couple of months before Gypsy started. And she got in there and she's been a seamless part of our chaos and really has helped us keep going. So thank you so much to Gypsy and Myra. Love you and miss you so much. Corey, still here? Yes. Corey Lopez Castro and Lilian Sanchez and Barbara Lagoa, all still here. Good. Yeah, I know. Where are you going to go? Right. Yeah, of course. Exactly. As I said, thank you for your friendship and loyal support. Staying to the end. It's been so fun to think back on all the times we've shared and all the ups and downs for sure. And, all of our dinners and what we've all sort of accomplished personally and professionally. Barbara was a regular lawyer back in the day and now, rapid fire. Look where she is now. But my takeaway is that the real accomplishment is the joy of our friendship and the time we spent together. And I look forward to so many more. Lisa, Lourdes, and Andrea, I don't even know what to say. I knew in every imagining of this day that I wanted you all to be there for me because you're there for me all the time. You're part of my everyday. Your gifts. And these last few years, we've all been through so much, honestly, more than our fair share of drama. I was thinking back as I was writing this about all the stuff that we've each been through and how much we've shared. And as I was kind of even listing it out in my head, I'm like, oh my God, it sounds like an episode of Grey's Anatomy. And we've jumped the shark. I think we've had our fair share. We don't need any more. But we also share so much laughter. And just the friendship is incredible. And you truly are my daily, everyday life force. Miguel, I'm going to pause because, Rudy and Bobby are like, rolling their eyes. I could have lumped you in with them, or I honestly, more appropriately than lumping you in with those two, I could have lumped you in with Lisa and Lourdes and Andrea, because you really have been like one of the girls. I have a text group that's like my text group with the three girls, and then I have a text group that also has Miguel in it. He's probably heard more than he needs to or wants to. I've only known you since 2013, as you said, but it feels like forever in a good way. You've really been the best friend and colleague I could have ever asked for. And I get asked a lot by people who don't know you well, but have heard all the stories and legends. Is he really that great? And a few years ago, I would have pointed out your sad wardrobe. But now, thanks to Mrs. De La O, he wears really cool skinny suits. And recently, he started wearing better jeans, no more dad jeans. So yes, folks, he is that great. I know I would not be here without you. Another saying, what would Bertie do? What would Larry do? Is what would Miguel do? And that's my saying because I call you on literally like so many decisions, personal and professional. And we're all lucky to have you, but I know I'm so lucky to have you. Justin Safey. I'm going to pause here for drama too, because you're all like, ooh, what's she going to say about the ex-husband? First, before I get to Justin, I want to talk about my amazing big giant Persian family, full of cousins and aunts and uncles, some of whom are here. And a lot of them are out there too. And those of you know Cuban families, Persian families are like Cuban families, only bigger and louder and eat more. But Justin, I have to thank you for the gift of being part of the Safey family. I know a lot of them are also watching on YouTube. I think Doug's here somewhere out there. And also just not just your family, but also my mother-in-law, Judy Safey. I know you're watching. Best mother-in-law I could have ever asked for. I always joke that after I got divorced, I gave up the husband, but I kept Judy. She's always been so proud of me and such a supporter of me and my career. And I can't thank her enough for all the love and support she's given me for so many years and still does. And Justin, so much we built together. So much we continue to share through these little monsters. Whatever else we did those three creatures really well. But I also know that I wouldn't be here without you. And I'm so happy that you're here today to share this day with me. Oliver Morales, thank you for living in this crazy, hectic world with a smile and there's never a complaint. Thank you for making me feel calm and sane, even when I know, you really, I'm like, am I crazy? And he says, no, you're not crazy. But I know he's really thinking she's batshit crazy. You give me love, but you also give me peace. And I love you. And I'm so lucky that you're mine. And I'm wrapping up here. Last but not least, my masterpieces, my bunnies, my turkeys. I have all kinds of nicknames for you. Jana, my first and my only girl. I think you've all noticed her. Yes. I do. As much as you exasperate me, I marvel at you every day, and I can't believe that you're my creation. And I'm so excited to watch this next chapter of your life. She graduated from UT Austin in 2020. She's already had a job. She's employed. She'll tell you she's independent. John, my first. I say he's my first, but you're only my first by a minute. But it's important because in my mind, people who know me, especially as I was younger, I was always very anal and I liked things to be in order. And Justin's probably like, oh boy. That was not easy to live with, I'm sure at times. But it even came to when you have identical twins, there needed to be order. And John was first, so John was always first. So poor John was always the victim of my homemade haircuts. He went first. He got the bad haircut. There's a whole lot of pictures of John with a bad haircut. And then one time I'd let me try to cut their little baby nails myself, clipped a piece of his finger. Poor John. Alex, my little one, by only a minute, he got spared some of that. I have so much to say about you both. In many ways, you are different, even though you look similar. And again, like your sister, I'm utterly in awe that you're mine. All three of you are like me and you're not like me. And I really love the ways that you're not like me. I know you may not think I do, but I do. I'm so proud of all three of you. I'm proud of your heads and your hearts. And I'm so happy that as you get older, I think you all appreciate or at least accept that my love for you is insane and irrational. And that if you don't answer a text in what I define as a reasonable time period, I presume you're injured or kidnapped or dead on the side of the road, and not just taking a nap with your ringer off. You are my heart and my soul. In Farsi, I would call you jigar. Jigar means liver. Sounds better in Farsi than in English. But you're my vital organs. You're the perfect foundation that grounds the rest of my life. So while today is not the day that I imagined, this is every bit as wonderful a day as I could ever ask for. As I start this new journey, I'm surrounded by so much love and support. I'm going to speak Spanish for just a second. Dime con quien andas y te digo quien tú eres. Whenever Oliver and I go places, they always think that I'm the Cuban and he's the gringo, and until I open my mouth, and then it's clear, the gringo she is. But tell me who you walk with and I'll tell you who you are. Thank you all for walking with me. Thank you for letting me shine in your brilliant light. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to serve.
Okay, before we adjourn, we have a few housekeeping matters to ensure an orderly exit. But wait, Marissa and Eunice, I love you. I had you written all over my speech and I missed. Okay, back. Well, I love you. Okay, so if you'd like to say hello to Chief Judge Safey and Chief Judge Soto in the receiving line, come here to the left. Please exit through the door here, also to your right. That's not to my right.
They're going to come out this way, but then judges are going to go this way, and then the regular non-judges go that way, out this back door.
That's why she's chief. I don't understand
No, I did the rehearsal yesterday.
Thank you for joining us and good evening.
Court is adjourned.